Hey, this is Matt Whitmer from Bird Precision. This video we are looping back to the JACE 9000. Some of the other brands outside of Vicon seem to be just around the corner from releasing either their version of the hardware or the software that's required to run their version of the 9000 hardware. So I figured we would loop back around to one of our most popular videos that we've ever done, which is just a simple video on the startup process for the 8000. Let's do that for the 9000 as well. I think that's something that a lot of new users might not be familiar with the process, and there have been a couple little things that have changed, quality of life things that will make your life a little bit easier in starting up a 9000 over an 8000. So let's jump into a quick PowerPoint presentation just where I go over some of the important details and data and the steps, and then we'll jump into Niagara and actually do this with 9000 that I've got sitting on my desk here. So let's jump into PowerPoint. And yeah. So factory defaults, probably the most important bits of information here on the 9000. None of these things really have changed except for one little piece. So your default IP address is going to be 192.168.1.140, subnet of 255.255.255.0. It's kind of standard. If you've done any of this with an 8000, you're familiar with that. Our secondary port is disabled, so obviously don't connect to the secondary port expecting to be able to get in when you just pull it out of the box. Important detail here, and this is why some of the brands haven't released their fully released their 9000s yet, is because the 9000 requires Niagara 4.13 or newer in order to run on it. None of the older versions will run on the 9000. They don't have the required software because behind the scenes there's been some decent changes OS and software-wise on the 9000 that you need those extra bits of software in 413 in order for it to work. Our platform credentials, these are the standards. They were the same on the 8000. We know for sure that this is the case on the Vicon stuff because obviously that's already out and available. We don't know for sure that this is the case for the others, but if anything changes, we'll note that in the description once it's released. So our startup tasks, the first thing that you're going to do when you get one of these in the box is you're going to take that micro SD card that's in the box and pop it into the slot on the front side of the JACE. Just keep in mind, if you're moving, say, from an 8000 to a 9000 on a job or something like that, those SD cards between the 8000 and the 9000 are not swappable. You can't use an 8000 SD card on a 9000. You have to use that SD card that came with the 9000 and not the 8000s. Same with the 8000. The JACE is using those SD cards for its host ID. The SD card functionality has changed up a little bit though on the 9000 in that it doesn't store your station there. It only stores backups of your station there, and those happen automatically every day. We're going to connect to our JACE through the primary port, as I mentioned before, and we're going to set the IP address of our computer, our Ethernet adapter on the computer, to be in the same subnet of the default IP address on the JACE. So that'd basically be anything between 192.168.1.1 and 1.254. Obviously not choosing 1.140 because that's what the JACE's address is. Next, we'll apply power. AC or DC. Obviously, you've got the barrel plug and you've got the terminal block, whichever is easiest for you in your use case. Obviously, mine's sitting on my bench here. The barrel plug is easier than the terminal block. Doesn't really matter, AC or DC. Then we're going to monitor the heartbeat LED. This is a new change in the 9000 over the 8000. What we're looking for is what I like to call a short blink, which means 200 milliseconds on, 1,000 milliseconds off, 1 second off. And what this basically is telling us is that our platform is up and running, but we don't have a station in. You can see here from this little table that we've got 3 different states that our heartbeat LED can be in: a fast blink, a short blink, and a full blink. Next, we'll open up a platform connection with JACE. We'll accept the certificate verification pop-up that comes up because it's our first time connecting to this device over TLS. And then we'll get prompted to change the default credentials. So that'll be the passphrase and our platform user. And then it'll remove those default credentials because obviously security-wise, default credentials are a very bad thing. And then our JACE is ready to commission. So then we come over to the commissioning side, and everything is exactly as you'd expect in the 8000, and probably actually prior to the 8000, it's about the same as well. So you open up the platform administration from within your platform, you'll select commissioning, and then you'll install your license, choose the runtime profiles you want, install your station, install the software, install the distribution file for the operating system updates and that kind of thing, depending on the version you're using. And then you'll configure the TCP IP addressing information. So now let's jump over into Niagara and take a look at what this process actually looks like practically. Okay, so we go back to Niagara now, and we open up our platform, TLS connection, 192.168.1.140. Okay. It'll come up with the identity verification pop-up. Since this is a new out-of-the-box JACE, there's not really much here to go against to verify that we're connecting to the correct certificate, we're getting the right certificate. So we can just hit accept here on this. And then it's going to ask us for the username and password for the platform. Since this is a Vicon JACE, it's just going to be Tritium Niagara. Hit OK. And then we're going to get this change platform defaults wizard. And what this is going to do is make us change the passphrase of the JACE and the platform account of the JACE, and then get rid of the default. So we'll hit next. We're going to set a new passphrase. And obviously you've got to meet their minimum requirements for a password, so just keep that in mind. And then we're going to do the same thing to create a platform account here. And then we'll hit next. And then it's going to say, okay, we're adding this platform user account that you just gave the information for. And then we're removing the Tritium one that's the default. We'll hit finish. It'll go through, do its thing, delete that stuff, and then it'll automatically log us into the platform. So that initial setup process is now complete, and we can go and do a commission now for exactly what we're looking for. So I can go into platform administration, and then down here towards the bottom, there's this commissioning button. I can click that. And then we can select all the boxes that we may or may not need for our particular use case. And with the 9000, the commissioning process is identical to the 8000. So install and provide all the data that you need as you would expect from that 8000. So hopefully this video was helpful for you, and hopefully you can get off the ground using your 9000. Stay tuned. We've got a lot of new videos coming on a bunch of different product lines. We're trying to cover more and more stuff from more and more manufacturers. So if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.